Hey there, middle school students. This is going to be your video for Monday, what is today? The 31st, almost into February. This year's already flying by. It's pretty crazy. Sorry we didn't end up having class in person. I am feeling a lot better this morning. I was just concerned. I figured it would be, after Rochelle and I talked about it, we decided it would be easier for y'all if we went ahead and made the call early. And so we went ahead and made the call. We probably could have had class today. I feel pretty good, but just to kind of make sure, anyway, we decided to do it this way. So the first thing we're gonna do in a minute is we're gonna go over the homework from last Wednesday. I'll just do the, normally I take questions and put the key up there, but kind of like I've done in the past when I've done recorded, I'll just do the problems on camera. That way you can compare and see how it's done and remind you of all the rules. And then we are going to look at 3 different kind of subtopics, and I'm going to do some homework problems in each one. And it's going to be some more of the same, but kind of broken out separately. And then using that knowledge in the next level, which is kind of taking the integer stuff with negatives and positives and all of that and using it in fractions. But for today's and on video, we're going to keep it just like denominators. Again, this is all review. Everything we're doing right now is heavy review. This is kind of review all the way back to the beginning, and all of that kind of stuff. So don't get too stressed out and whatever else. We're going to do some review, and then we're kind of benchmarking is what they would call it in public school. We're going to kind of we'll do some quiz, probably do several short quizzes instead of one big test is what I'm thinking to do. And so you can expect at least one short quiz on Thursday. It probably won't be a quiz that'll take up the entire class, but we're going to kind of see this as we go. We're trying a few new things. So let me switch over here so you can see what I'm doing. All right, let's start by going over the homework. All right, so our first homework problem was -5 times -3, right? The first big thing with that is that we use the 2 parentheses right next to each other as multiplication, right? And so that's what that means. So we're multiplying integers, again, reminding us what we're doing. You just do the multiplication, and then we check the rules. So 5 times 3, of course, is 15, right? Let me make my pen a little bit smaller. And then we have a negative times a negative. So this is same sign, right? Because they're both negative. And if we're multiplying and dividing, you can go back in your notes, and I'm going to go over it again here in a minute. And I'm going to kind of actually write down all the rules so that y'all can write them down again. And for some of our new folks and whatever, give different details and options. But when we're having same sign multiplied or divided, then we end up with an answer that is positive. Let me move my mic a little closer and make sure I'm loud enough. Hopefully y'all are being able to hear me good. I'm using a different setup, which is working really great for me, but when we meet on Thursday, if there's something about it that's not working, you can let me know and I can tweak the setup. But this is a much better setup for me than what I used when we were gone the other day, or we were trying to do Zoom and all of that. This setup is a lot cleaner for me and actually using my proper computer. So hopefully it's going to work out really, really well. So this one, we've got a division thing. This one we may want a scratch paper. Let me make my pen a little bit smaller and do a little bit of scratch paper work, because we've got kind of that's going to be hard to see. Let's do this orange instead. 2 divided into 144, right? 2 goes into 144 a bunch of times, right? It goes into 1 0 times, but it goes into 14 7 times, and 7 times 2 is 14, right? And then we subtract. We end up with 0, bring down the 4, and we end up with that. 2 goes into 4 2 times. 2 times 4 is, of course, 2 times 2 is, of course, 4. We subtract that out, and we end up with 0, and we're at the end of here, so we're at the end of there. So that would be kind of the scratch paper, quickly done division. Again, I'm kind of doing some of these a little bit on the faster side because of how much review this is, and all of that kind of stuff. If there's something I went too fast on in this video, you, of course, can ask me questions in class on Thursday. Never be afraid to do that. So our answer is 72. Now we've got to ask the question, is it positive or is it negative 72? So we have different sign here, right? The top one is positive and the bottom was negative. So the signs are different. And since the signs are different, then our answer is negative. Again, we've talked about those rules. It's review. We're going to go over them again in this video just to be sure. But that's what the rule is, right? So this next one, now we've got, instead of being multiplication division, we've got addition subtraction here, right? So we've got to check with addition subtraction, we've got to kind of check our rules first instead of second. We've got to look at these two numbers and see whether they are same sign or whether they are different sign, right? The biggest thing to remember, and I think we're starting to get the hang of here, is that when we have a minus here, this minus here, then that is the same thing as adding a negative. And so this one is negative and this one is negative, which means these have the same sign. And our rule for addition subtraction is if we have the same sign, then we add and we keep the sign. So we're going to take and we're going to add these two numbers, 27 and 18. And then we're going to put the sign, and we'll keep the sign so we know our answer is going to be negative in the end, right? So let's add those together. 27 plus, let me write that a little bit bigger so I don't have to make it so messy and all of those kind of things, right? 27 plus 18, right? Scratch papering that sucker and making that all good and all these things. So 7 plus 8 is 15. 1 plus 2 plus 1 is 4, right? So 27 plus 18 is 45. So our answer is negative 45 because we add and we keep the sign. So they're negative, so our answer is going to be negative. So that's what we're doing there, right? So for number 4, we got to look again, are they the same sign or different sign? This one's a little bit easier to see because this number is negative and this one is positive. So we've got a negative and a positive. So we've got different sign happening here, right? So that one is different sign. So when we have different sign, our rule for addition subtraction is to subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number, right? So we're going to first of all grab our scratch paper color and do 236 minus 89. All right, we can't take away 9 from 6, so what do we got to do? We got to borrow. So we're going to borrow from that, turn it into a 2. Make my pen a little smaller. And this is 16. So 16 minus 9 is 7. We can't take away 8 from 2, so we got to borrow again, changing this one to a 1 and this to a 12. All right? I'm used to having to do different things with this, so bear with me as I get this new setup a little bit set up. So 12 minus 8 is 4. And then 1 minus nothing is still 1. So our answer is going to be negative 147 because the bigger number is negative. And this is the rule where we take that into account. I know there's lots of different rules, which is one of the reasons why we're spending a lot of time this year practicing these rules and these ideas and all of those things. So this next one is multiplication. We know that because we've got parentheses next to parentheses, right? So that's multiplication, right? So we got 12 times 20. So we're going to scratch paper that guy. 20 times 12. Now, does it matter which one we put on top, which one we put on bottom? It does not, although we typically put the bigger one on top, but it doesn't. You'll actually get the same number either way. So 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 2 is 4. So the next step when we move over would be to scratch this out. There's nothing to scratch out, and then add a 0. 1 times 0 is 0, and 1 times 2 is 2. There are, of course, shortcut ways to do this one. This one, I am scratch papering all the way out. You could probably just go, if you know your 12s, you could just go 2 times 12 is 24, and add a 0, right? And it'd be 240. But walking this out all the way just to make sure we're good with what we're doing. So we do 0 plus 0 is 0, 4 plus 0 is 4, and 2 plus nothing is still 2, right? So our answer is 240. This is different sign, right? Because we've got positive and we've got negative. So it's negative 240. I will answer that person's question later after I make this video. Well, actually, I better see if it's somebody relevant to this class. Let me pause this video and check. I'll be right back. And I'm back. So this last problem, we've got a division problem happening here. So pen. This one definitely going to scratch paper. I think this one should work. Actually, it may not. This one may be a rounding one. As I'm looking at it, I don't know what I was thinking. Is this even the right problem? Is this the problem I gave? Let me double check, make sure. Look at those notes. It is 308. Oh yeah. Yeah, this should come out even, I think. We're about to find out. Of course. This one's actually both positive. So it's same sign, right? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Nothing difficult. We're definitely going to scratch paper it though. So we're going to do 6 into, that's probably a little bit too loud, into 318. So 6 goes into 3 0 times, right? And then 6 goes into 31. 6 goes into 31. 6 times 4 is 24. Plus another 6 is 30. Oh, yeah. Duh. It's 5. 5 times 6 is 30. Minus 31 minus 30 is 1. And then we bring down the 8 and make it an 18. 6 goes into 18 3 times because 3 times 6 is 18. And then we subtract and we end up with 0, which signals that we're done. So going back over here, our answer is 53. And it's a positive 53 because we're dividing same sign. So that's the homework. They should have been fairly easy, but if you have questions, absolutely ask them in class on Thursday. And excuse me, I think I've been saying that this whole video, but not Thursday, but on Wednesday, whenever we actually have class. So if I confused you earlier, sorry about that. So we're going to kind of review the rules for integer addition and subtraction. I figured that would be a useful way to tackle this as a new video because this way it kind of reviews on the video, and because you can't ask questions and I can't reiterate when you have other questions and whatever else. And so I thought we'd kind of I've got a whole video. If I remember when I upload this video, I can even link it in the iCard, pretend like this is a real YouTube channel or whatever else. But I do have a video on these integer rules and all of that kind of stuff. And so if you want to check it out, you're welcome to do so. But I'm going to kind of remind you of the rules here in brief, because this is all in our notes before and all of that stuff. So integer addition and subtraction. So we have, like I've said before, we have two options, of course. We have, if they have the same sign, and we have if they have different signs. Okay. Right. Again, this is all in our notes, and I have that whole other video on this that goes even a little bit slower. But just to remind ourselves of the rules, if we're adding and subtracting, right? So if there's a plus or a minus in between two numbers, right? That's a number. It's not just a squiggle, right? If we have a plus or minus in between two numbers, or actually even letters, but we're not really talking about that right now. But if we have the same sign, then our rule and the way we do it is we add and keep the sign. This is all review, but there it is. If they have different signs, we subtract. And we keep the sign. Of bigger number. Okay. So let's zoom in here and let's do a few examples of these. Okay. So this canvas is fairly large. Let me see if I can zoom in enough to where I can write smaller. Kind of have some small examples. We'll see. I don't know exactly how this is going to work as far as exporting these notes, and this is a different thing. But anyway, let's do a few examples. We'll call this example 1. All right? So, if we have same sign. So, say we have something like 5 plus 3. Always with the 3s. For some reason, my hand has trouble with the 3s. It's just I don't know. I need to practice 3s because I have issues. I'm going to put 3 examples up here. And then what I want you to do is I want you to pause the video and I want you to try these and then unpause the video and come back and you can see the work and all that kind of stuff and we'll talk through them. Okay, so number 2 is going to be negative 16 minus 8. And number 3 is going to be, look at that 3, it's ugly. Oh well. 3 is going to be 7 minus, I'm going to throw in another review bit, minus negative 12. Okay, so pause the video real quick and then come back and you can see working out these and all that kind of stuff and we'll talk through them real quick. So, ready, pause. In fact, I'm going to pause my video. So, and we're back. Did you get those numbers? So on the first one, you should have gotten 8. You can do like Dora the Explorer. Do you see the answer to example 1? No, I got to stare creepily into the screen. If you ever watched Dora the Explorer, it's creepy, guys. It's creepy. So for number, I don't know when I didn't unpause. So I think I just talked through all the answers to those problems without recording it. So I'm going to, I'm going to go back and talk through them. This one you should have gotten 8. This one you should have gotten negative 24. This one you should have gotten 19, right? And so those should have been the answers. And the first one's easy, right? 5 plus 3 is 8. Same sign, easy peasy. The second one is our tricky one a little bit because you got to remember again for the 50 bazillionth time that minus is the same thing as plus a negative. And so these are the same sign. So negative 16 plus negative 8, same sign, and 16 plus 8 is 24, and it's negative 24. And this one we've got a ka-chink, right? Because we've got a minus and a minus right next to each other, which turns into a plus. So 7 plus 12 is 19. So I don't think I recorded any of this, so I'll say this again. We're going to end up having 12 problems of homework for this set. None of them are going to be super hard, so don't freak out and whatever else. Because they're going to be, basically we're going to have 4 problems that go with each thing. So actually that's going to end up being more than 12. This is going to be a long homework assignment for you, but you can do it. It's going to be okay. That's good. That's actually really good. Yeah, because we're going to have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. We're going to have 20 whole problems. The biggest homework set you've ever done. So I'll keep the numbers pretty small. How's that sound? Good? Okay. So we're practicing rules instead of practicing our arithmetic. All right, so negative 72 minus, these are your first 4. Negative 72 minus 8. And then number 4 is going to be, let's do 7 minus negative 5. Those are easy peasy, right? So there's your first, oh, you can't really see that one, can you? There you go. Now you can see it better. because my face was in the way. Sorry, I should have double-checked that. So there's your first 4 homework problems. We're going to end up doing, like I say, we're going to end up doing 20 on this homework set. It's a big homework set for you, but I don't think it's going to be too much. I think you can handle it without any problem. So let's look at different sign addition, subtraction, right? So if we have different signs, I think I like an in-between zoom, so like right about there. So if they're different, all right, so our quintessential example, so let's do this the same way. We're going to do 3 examples. I want you to pause the video, and then I want you to try them, and we'll come back. Hopefully I'll remember to unpause so I don't have to say the same thing twice. It doesn't mess with y'all, but it does mess with me because then it takes me longer to make this video, but that's okay. No problem. No big deal. So let's do example, oops. Back out. Example 4. Example 4 is going to be 8 minus 3, right? And then example 5 is going to be negative 7 plus 18. And then number 6 is going to be negative 2 minus negative 3. Threw in that ka-chink thing again. All right, y'all pause the video. I'm going to pause my video and hopefully remember to unpause. Cross our fingers and hope for the best. So, did you get those? Those ones are pretty easy peasy. So again, they're the same. We've got same sign on all of these, right? So we've got, look at that. Sorry, I was curious what kind of opacity we could get with this brush and do highlighting thing. Sorry, I got distracted by toys. All right, so this one, again, you got to remember that minus is the same thing as plus and negative. So the signs are different. So we subtract, and 8 minus 3 is 5. I didn't even mean to make the opposite problem to problem number 1, but it happened that way. I don't know. That's must be some unconscious favorites in my head or something. So 8 minus 3 is 5, and our answer is positive 5. I didn't even mean to make all these positive either. Sorry about that. Should have made some of our negative. In fact, I'll do one where we get a negative answer just to round out our examples before I do the practice problems for this grouping. But this one, we've got different signs. We've got a negative 7 and a positive 18, right? And so 18 minus 7 is 11, right? And it's positive 11 because 18 is positive and it's the bigger number. So this one we got a ka-chink again. So we got negative 2 plus 3. The signs are different. So we subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number, right? Very, very good. So let's do one more. I won't even pause the screen just to round out our example problems. We'll do example number 7 real quick and make it be, let's say, negative 12 plus 5, right? So the signs are different because the 12 is negative and the 5 is positive, right? So we got to subtract. 12 minus 5 is 7. But our answer is going to be negative 7 because the 12 is bigger, right? So we end up with negative 7 as our answer. So let me give you some homework problems for these. Let me look at my other screen and make sure I'm doing these in a way that you can actually see what I'm doing. So this would be homework problem number 5. Okay, homework problem number 5 is going to be negative 8 plus 3. And number 6 is going to be 72. Oh, I wrote 77. What am I doing? I was thinking about whatever the heck noise I just made and got distracted. So 72 minus, we're going to keep our number. This number's kind of small again because we don't want this homework to take too terribly long. We want to focus on what we're focusing on. So 72 minus, let's say 8. Okay, that sounds good. And then homework problem number 7 is going to be Let's say -5 minus -2. What did I do? Did I just write the same problem? Almost, I did. Why am I obsessed with 8 and 3 and 5 and all that stuff? I don't know. I don't know. That's stuck in my head. Sorry, y'all. I mean, I guess I'm not sorry. Y'all are not sorry either, because that makes your life a little bit easier, doesn't it? Because those are super simple. You just got to remember whether the answer is positive or negative. So 8, our last one, is going to be, let's say, I've tried everything else. I've done everything. So let's just do another practice problem. How about 17 minus 18? How's that sound? Easy peasy? Good. These problems shouldn't theoretically take you very long. That's kind of the idea of why we're doing a lot more. All right. So that is addition, subtraction. Let me zoom back out. That way you can, if you need to look back over those notes or you missed anything, instead of having to go back to the video. Of course, you can't see the homework, but, close enough. Actually, I'll zoom in. I don't know. I don't even need to do that, so because you can go rewind the video. Brilliant. All right. Let's talk about integer multiplication division. So our rules for integer multiplication division, they kind of live in the same vein as addition subtraction. But I like to write these, as I talk about in that video. If you watch that other video, and I've talked about in class before, I like to look at these rules. I've seen some textbooks where it kind of separates it all out and looks at this rule and then looks at that rule and looks at this rule and looks at that rule, and it kind of keeps them all separate. And to me, it's a little bit easier to be able to see all of these rules side by side, because you need to be able to keep them separate. And that's a tricky thing there. And so we're still looking at rules if they have the same sign. And we're looking at a different rule if they have a different sign. Sign. Okay. All right. So if the rule, part of the rule is the same, right? And so I'm going to kind of do a combined rule setup here. First thing you do is you just multiply or divide. Right? You just do it, right? So if it's -2 times -3, you just do 2 times 3. Or if it's -5 times 8, you just do 5 times 8. And then you look at the sign after. And the only difference after that is if you're multiplying or dividing things with the same sign, our answer, I'm also going to kind of put this in the middle, our answer for same sign, it comes out positive. And that's the rule. If they're a different sign, then it comes out negative, right? So let's look at some examples of these. We'll do some multiplication ones and some division ones. How about I cut down your homework assignment by 4 and I squash these together? We do 2 multiplication and 2 division. How's that sound? Because it's really the same. So for these, this would be example number 8, right? Example number 8. So again, let's do these where we pause the video, you do the math, and you come back and check since it's review. So our first one is going to be, let's do one of those ones that I said earlier. How about -3 times -2? Example number 7 is going to be +8. Let's do my favorite. +8 times -7. And then we'll do a couple division ones, but we'll split those into 2. So do those first. I'm going to pause the video. Actually, you just pause the video because these are quick enough to do that I'm going to just keep going in a minute, but you pause the video, do them on your own first, then restart the video and check your work. So, assuming you're back, this would end up being a +6. because 3 times 2 is 6. They are same sign, so we end up with a positive answer, right? These two, we've got 8 times 7 is 56. It's a negative 56 because they have different signs, right? All right, let's do a couple division ones. So example number, I think I can fit what I need to fit. Example number, why is that example number 7? What happened there, y'all? Y'all aren't here to yell at me and say, what are you doing? So I'm just making the mistakes without you. I need you. Or something. Okay, so let's do example number 10. This one's going to be a division one. We'll start out with our regular division symbol, and we'll do negative 10 divided by 2. And then example number 11 is going to be, let's do, excuse me, negative 36. Keep doing those 3s weird. I'm telling you, I need to just make a whole video or something just practicing 3s. I don't know why I struggle with them, but there it is. Negative 36. And we'll do our division symbol as a fraction bar this time, because we need to continue practicing those new symbols. Negative 36 divided by negative 6. I'm going to put that negative 6 in parentheses just to make it clear that I'm not like subtracting or something weird. So pause the video, do those problems real quick, and then come back. Assuming you're back, the answer to this one is negative 5. I didn't change my colors, but oh well. Right? Because 10 divided by 2 is 5, it's negative 5 because the signs are different. These two, it is positive 6. Because 36 divided by 6 is 6, and the signs are the same, so our answer comes out positive. That's all there is to it. So our homework practice problems for these are going to be, this is homework, this is number 9, yes? Yes. Number 9. Number 9 homework problem is going to be, you can see that with my face? Yes, you can. Let's do 3 times negative 5. Remember that the parentheses in these are just to help make it clear that this isn't, it's not times and minus and some weird smash-ode thing, right? That's all they're there for. So it's just for clarity, right? We keep kind of continuing to throw in those extra different things just to make sure we're understanding. Those are some of our pre-algebra part of middle school, right? Okay, so let's do number 10 is going to be, let's do negative 18 divided by negative 3. Homework problem number 11 is going to be 2 times 5. And then finally, homework problem number 12, make sure you can still see that. Yeah, you can. Is going to be, let's do one more division-y one, and let's do another favorite and do let's do negative 49 divided by 7. Okay. That looks good for those. Now we're going to do one last thing because it's really the same as the very first one, but with a fraction bar. Okay. Because we're going to do rational addition and subtraction. Remember, rational for our purposes means fractions, right? Fractions, decimals, percents, but fractions. Anything that can be written as a fraction is a rational number. Okay? So, we've already done the integer, we've already done the positive negative rules. The rules here are the same because, as I'm fond of saying, fractions are just numbers, right? So the cool thing here is that all of our rules are the same as these rules, right? That looks horrendous, but oh well. It's okay, right? So let's remind ourselves with a couple of examples. This is the most new thing. It's not really new. It's just new in our review set. We just got through integers the other day. So this is kind of the new review, the new old stuff. I don't know, something. Right? So let me zoom in here a little bit. Let me move this panel. Oops. Move the whole panel over here out of the way. There we go. And let's jump in with some examples. Yeah, there we go. That a little smaller, and we're at example number 12. Example number 12. We'll do 3 examples. We'll do just like we've done before. I want you to, once I get all 3 examples on the board, I want you to pause it, and then we'll come back and do it, and then I'll assign 4 more homework problems, and then we'll be done with this video. You can go do your homework. If you're not already finished, as you may have finished it while you were watching this video, because the homework problems aren't that hard, hopefully. I hope they're not. If they are, then make sure you're asking questions on Wednesday. Look, I said it right again. So here we go. Let's do 5 sevenths plus 2 sevenths. And then for number 13, we're going to do 1/4 plus 3/4. And for example number 14, we're going to do let's do 7/12 plus let's do 11/12. This last one has got a final step that we're going to want to remember to clean it up. So still go ahead and practice, because it should still be review. And we're going to actually end up doing a couple more examples. We did all positive ones here. I want to throw in some negatives and some subtraction stuff. So we'll end up doing these 3 and then 3 more examples. So pause the video and then come back. I'm going to pause mine as well and come right back. So there's a couple of tricky bits. I wasn't even paying close attention when I wrote the first. I didn't mean to make the first 2 basically the same problem, kind of. Because the first 2, we end up with 1 as our answer both times, right? Because we end up with 5 plus 2 equals 7. So we got 7 sevenths. And number over itself equals 1. Because 7 times 1 is 7, right? So the same thing happened over here with 4/4, which equals 1. Now this last one, you may have done this one a different way, because you could have gone and done, once you got here and ended up with 18/12. You could have gone there and done 12 into 18 and still got 1. 1 times 12 is 12. And then you were subtracting it with 6. 1 and 6/12. But then if you did it that way, you still would need to reduce and divide the top and bottom by 6. Or by 2, and then by 2 again, and then by 2 again, or whatever else, and so you'd end up getting or 2 and then 3 or something. But you could do that and then reduce those and still end up with this number as your final answer for sure, right? And so that's a different way to do those. Remember that for this class, at least, we want mixed numbers instead of improper fractions. Some of my other classes later, it's going to matter less, but all that. So let's do a few more examples. I'll end up having to put my homework up above these things, but that's for this set. But that's not a problem. Actually, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to move up, because I've got a bunch of white space up here. And I'm going to do 3 more examples with y'all. I want y'all to do the same thing. Do them and then pause and then come back and all of that kind of stuff. So this will be example 15. I'm going to get my brush back. Example 15. We're going to throw in some negatives here. We haven't done this as much in class. So this is review, but we haven't done as much negatives with rational numbers. So this is kind of review and new all at the same time, but the rules are the same. So there, let's do this. These I probably will actually record doing them together when we do the comeback session, so you can kind of pause or not pause or whatever else, depending on how scary this feels or whatever else. So either way, so let's do, how about 15 sixteenths minus 3 sixteenths. And for example 16, let's do negative 2/5 plus 1/5. And then finally, let's do number 17 is going to be, let's say, negative 2/7 minus 6/7. Okay. So I still recommend you pause and try these on your own. Even if you're a little bit scared of them, give it a shot. And then these, when we come back, either way, I'm actually going to talk through them just to make sure that, just because we may need that, a little bit of extra stuff. So go ahead and pause, try them, and then come back and we'll talk through them. And we're back. Okay. So, or hopefully you're back. Hopefully you did leave. Hopefully you did try these, because I really want to encourage y'all to be okay with getting things wrong sometimes and asking questions about why it's wrong and why, and all those kind of things. That's one of the best ways to learn math. So continue to try things and all that stuff. So what we do is we have common denominator. So on the top, we just have integer addition, right? Addition, subtraction. So it's the same as these rules over here. The exact same thing as those. So are the signs the same or different? Well, they're different, right? Because we have plus a negative here. Because minus is the same as plus a negative. So 15 minus 3 is 12. And then the denominator stays the same. So it's 16. Is it positive 12 or negative 12? It's positive 12 because the 15 is positive, right? Now we've got to reduce that. We can divide top and bottom by, let's see, we can do 4, right? You could also do by 2 or, yeah, that's probably about it, right? So divide those top and bottom by 4, and we end up getting 3/4 as our answer. So this next one over here, the denominators are the same, so we don't have to get a common denominator. That'll probably be the next thing we review, is getting a common denominator and doing things that way and all of that stuff, right? Excuse me. So here we have negative 2 plus 1. So the signs are different. So we subtract and keep the sign of the bigger. So 2 minus 1 is 1. The denominator stays the same. It's negative 1/5 because 2 is bigger than 1, right? Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So this guy, our signs are the same because this minus in the middle is the same as plus a negative, right? You can think of that as ka-chink, ka-chink as well if you want to. However, it helps to remember things, right? So the signs are the same. So we add and keep the sign. So 2 plus 6 is 8. And then the denominator keeps the same. So we've got an improper fraction. So we want to scratch paper out and turn that into a mixed number. So 7 goes into 8. 7 goes into 8 once. 1 times 7 is 7. We subtract and end up with 1. So we end up with 1 and 1/7. So our final answer for that problem is 1 and 1/7. Now, we're adding and keeping the sign, so it's negative 1 and 1/7. Right? So that's really all there is to that. It's the same rules. All that really changes is this denominator follows, right? The denominator sticks around, and we might have to convert to a mixed number at the end. Those are the only differences when we're doing rational numbers. So we might have a little bit more steps, but it's pretty much the same thing. So let me put a few homework problems of those, and then we'll cover those back on Monday and all of that. So let me write down these homework problems. This would be homework problem number 13. Homework problem number 13 is going to be, let's do 6/8 minus 2/8. Okay. And number 14 is going to be negative 3/12. I don't know why I keep making ones that can reduce, but whatever, it's fine. Plus, let's make one that can't reduce. 11/12. There we go. 15 is going to be negative 2/5 plus negative 3/5. And then finally, our last problem is number 16. Is going to be, let's do 8/15 minus negative 3/15. Okay, so you have 16 homework problems. I will have a key ready to go on Wednesday. I will see you then. Come back with questions. You may have them, you may not, whatever else. But if you are confused, make sure you come back with questions, because we want to make sure we're getting these things solid. Thank you guys, and we will see y'all next time. Bye-bye.